Hello riders and nerds, today on the vlog is Sinnis SMR 125cc motorcycle for the beginners. It's not that easy for me to judge a beginner's motorcycle because I never properly had one. My Harley Davidson Sportster is my first bike, but when I was doing my license, in UK you have to do a CBT, which is 125 eligible kind of test. I couldn't call it license because it takes half a day and almost anyone can pass it. Very rarely somebody don't. And then there is a full license, which back then cost £1,000 and now probably costs even more, or maybe the same, but still quite significant amount of money. Lots of people here are choosing to only do CBT and ride 125 motorcycles with the L plate. Anyway, between my CBT and my full license, because I had to practice, CBT was the first time I ever rode any motorcycle, including a scooter, 125, any sort of bike. So you presume I needed some practice. Me, my brother and my ex-husband, we got a bike. We got a bike to practice for a few months and it was Sinnis. It was Sinnis Retro Star. I remember we paid £700 for it and we sold it for only a little bit less than that, also to a lady who's got a Sportster afterwards. Just before the lockdowns, Sinnis sent me a blade. And this time they contacted me and asked would I like to try and test ride a new bike that they just released, SMR. Let's start with the fact that this is a tall bike. I'm 1.75 meters tall, 75 centimeters inseam, and look, it's tall even for me. When I sit on it, I have to properly tiptoe. The guy who delivered it said I will struggle to ride it. I don't, because it's very lightweight and it's very easy to handle on one leg or another leg, or even if you slightly reach the ground, it's very easy to handle because it's a lightweight motorcycle. In fact, if you are not a tall rider, it might be an advantage for you because you will get used to a tall motorcycle, and when you will move, if you'll decide to move to a taller bike or go off-road, you'll already be used to a tall sitting position and tall bike, stopping at the traffic lights and kind of resting on one leg and stuff like that. So it might be advantage, might be disadvantage if you don't feel confident on the bike and you would like to reach the ground properly with both feet. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I ride a lot heavier bikes and bigger bikes already for 6 years. So I probably already forgot what it is like when you start and how intimidating any bike can be. And this can be heavy as well, comparing with a bicycle, for example. But I believe that majority of you would be fine, even with a tall bike like this. It also has advantage because you sit tall, so you kind of sit on the top of a road. You can see very well and clear, and if you're going towards a Super-Motard direction or, like I said, an off-roading, a Maxis, then this is a very good beginner bike for you. As in my opinion, this is a bike designed to rip the city streets. Sitting tall has an advantage in the traffic, especially when you feel confident enough to filter. If you're a new rider, bear in mind, it is a lot to take when filtering. Your concentration has to be 100% on the drivers and a slightless move of any car, not on the bike controls. Don't rush with it. It is legal to filter in UK, in a slow-moving or stationary traffic. I know it, now you know it, maybe you knew it before, but not every driver knows it. Some gets annoyed by the filtering motorcycle, some just completely ignores it. Unfortunately, in Colchester where I ride, those people are very common. You know, yesterday, ripping this bike around Colchester, I was thinking, how important are the reviews like this on YouTube? Because when you take the bike for a test ride, you only have for a very limited time and very limited mileage. Even having it for a few hours, for a full day, or in this case, I'm riding it third day in a row, you start growing with a bike, especially if it is your first bike. Or if you are changing the bike from what you usually ride to something completely different, which happened in my case, whereas from the custom and more the cruiser style, I jumped on the Super-Motard. Even though it is 125, it is completely different riding position and completely different motorcycle. So of course at the beginning it was strange, and of course at the beginning there were many things that I didn't like. So with time, I started realizing things that maybe I didn't recognize straight away because I was annoyed with not being able to ride it the way I'm used to. And I started appreciating sitting tall in the traffic, filtering and seeing far away ahead of me. Also as how well it handles on the tight corners, narrow streets and little British roundabouts. How quickly it responds, stopping and accelerating with even that little power that it has. That's actually pretty quick for a town traffic. SMR is a new, most powerful 125cc Sinnis motorcycle, 14.8 horsepower, very close to the allowed limit for a CBT rider. Only 140 kilograms weight, liquid cooled and Euro 5 compliant. Riding a motorcycle, it's a lot about the experience. It's a lot about choosing where you will ride and choosing the right bike for it. Of course, you can eat yogurt with a spanner, but it's better to use a spoon for that. So to those of you who came here not just for a review but also for entertainment and an interesting place for me to show you, I chose to show you something different, something that I found just here in Colchester. And when the first time I got in it, I thought, what the hell is that? Something that will teach new riders who are watching this video of how to deal and how to ride 5 roundabouts in one. This is it, a unique creation of 5 mini roundabouts in one big roundabout. If you ever came to UK from a country with wide roads, clear junctions, and not roundabout inside, then definitely that can freak you out. Once one Canadian CEO I was photographing said, "It is so scary, I close my eyes when I drive it. I have no idea how you ride it." I don't recommend that. Instead, I'll tell you, it's actually pretty simple. You just have to treat each mini roundabout separately, without thinking about the whole big thing of a 5 roundabouts, like a 5 roundabouts in 1 roundabout. Even saying that sounds complicated. Just imagine each and one of them as a separate unit that you have to treat just like a normal mini roundabout. And I found this quite useful actually, because you can go around it one way, you can go another way. Depending on the traffic, you can decide which way you want to reach the other side of the 5 roundabouts in 1 roundabout. Mirrors are not the biggest and not the best vision ever, but still looks decent with the design of a bike, and I don't trust mirrors anyway. Always do your shoulder check. It saved my life so many times. Easy to reach all the controls, everything pretty simple, everything's working. The dash is the simplest that it can be, but shows everything you need, even a fuel gauge, which I don't even have on my Harley Davidson. The levers, as I mentioned, not too hard. My wrist didn't get tired. The only uncomfort that I felt after a few hours on the bike is that my bum hurts. The seat is not the most comfortable, but I don't think it's a bike for touring. I don't think it's a bike for somebody to spend loads of time on it. It's rather a bike for somebody to commute not too far and somebody to have fun on. Probably learn a wheelie and learn the burnout riding it, even though I don't have L plates on it because I have a full license and I don't need L plates even on 125cc. I didn't get much respect from other riders. They didn't nod to me. And I thought, come on people, I nod to everyone, even Deliveroo riders, if I don't forget enough not to concentrate on the road and I do not miss them on the road. But I am the same person who rides big bikes as well as small bikes, so you never know who is on the bike. And if you show respect for 2 wheels brothers and sisters, just nod to everyone. Talking about the design, it is hard for me to judge, because I prefer totally different looking bikes. However, even looking at this, I think this is very cluttered, and like I would be eager to somehow clean it. It's probably a nice bike to start fiddling things and changing things. This is the other reason why it could be a good beginner's bike, because you can change things, make things, improve your bike, play with it, while that will not rip your pocket comparing with the more expensive brands. Another thing I have to mention, that the fuel consumption on this is amazing. So if you're looking for a properly budget bike, I presume that insurance for this doesn't cost that much as well. important to have bikes like this on the market, because far not everyone can afford a top brand, especially when somebody starts riding. And I would rather say, if you want to ride a motorcycle, start now, and maybe start on this rather than wait until you can afford one, because the only thing I deeply regret in my motorcycle journey that I haven't started earlier